Hello Pisces, welcome to Dove and Serpent Tarot. My name is Paul. If Pisces is your sun, moon, or rising sign, this is your tarot card reading. Remember to hit the like button, leave a comment. Consider subscribing to the channel, especially if this reading resonates with you. These readings are totally free. If there is anything you would like me to pray over or meditate upon or send positive energy toward, please let me know. Now, this is a general reading, so try to be open and receptive to whatever may come through during our time together. I am merely the messenger, and I ask you to connect directly with each of these cards and use your own intuition to take you beyond the details that I provide. And remember, Pisces, that the most important part of any tarot reading is you. And an 8 of Wands. Interesting. We just had this first card, same card in the previous reading that we did for Aquarius, that I just literally 10 minutes ago. You might want to watch the Aquarius reading that came out today. Okay? This is a card of an internal pressure. This might be the card of some anxiety. This is the card that's kind of saying like you have a lot of good ideas and your energy feels like it's kind of scattered in a lot of directions right now. Maybe this is a good thing. Maybe this is how we really tap into our creative power. Maybe this is how we cause change, right? Maybe we have to experiment with a lot of different things in order to find out what works. See, the 8 of Wands is not always a bad card. In fact, it's a good card. You know, it's a card of it's a surge of energy. This is fireworks, you know. But if we're too scattered, too much, then we're not going to get the sense of direction. We can't take our life in all of these directions at once. Okay, so we might be exploring a lot of different things right now in order to try to find the one path. Yeah, let's put this card into a little bit of context. All right, let's see what's going on for you this week. We're going to use our Dove and Serpent spread. We got a 3 of Pentacles, perfect. 4 of Wands, yes, nice. 3 of Wands, also very good. 7 of Wands, all right, fire and earth, and the Hermit, which is also some earth energy. A lot of fire, a lot of earth. Okay, I mean, I guess not that much earth. It's mostly fire, but you know, you get the idea. Here we have a 6 of Cups. Very cool. An 8 of Pentacles, more earth, more fire, right? The solar fire. There we've got the sun, the spiritual sun. And finally a 10 of Wands. I feel like this is definitely about you discovering the sense of purpose. And not only that, but between these two cards, I feel like we're experimenting with a lot of different things until, very simply, we find out what works. Simple, right? That's it. Experiment. You find what works. You do more of that. And that is necessarily how it goes. The problem is very often we start with this experimentation. We find things that sort of work. We find things that don't work. We find a lot of things. But we just keep doing this. We keep experimenting with 100 different things. Rather than using this as data to sort of understand, okay, what works, what doesn't work. Let's throw away the stuff that doesn't work. Let's keep the stuff that does, and let's double down on it. Okay, maybe this is 3 things, maybe it's 1 thing, it doesn't matter necessarily. Maybe it's 8 things, maybe it is the 100 things, but if you're taking a look at your life or at your business or at your relationship or at your spiritual work or your creative work, and you're not making the progress that you want to see, that you want to make, you have to ask yourself, okay, where's my energy going? Where am I putting all of my attention? Am I putting my attention into the wrong things? Okay. So for now, it's like, yeah, we want to experiment with a lot of different things, but once we find out what's really working for us, what our strengths are, we got to double down on those strengths. And then we're going to see real progress. Okay? There is a rising tide here in your life, and I think this is fantastic. I love these cards too. And so this is interesting too in association with the Aquarius reading that came out also today. Okay, let's select the mystery card, bonus card, confirmation card. This is a random card from the Smith Waite Tarot. This is the factor infinite and unknown. We're going to set it over here with Jimbo, the Lizard King. I can do anything. Except look at that card until the end of the reading, right? Because it will tie everything together and it will give us the confirmation that we need. If at any point during this message you feel like you might know what that card could be, put your prediction in the comments down below. Let's use our intuition. Yeah. Now, as we look around the room here, we see two major arcana energies, and that is the Hermit and the Sun. The Hermit is finding the Sun within, and there it is, right? And so it's kind of like we're kind of searching for the unity in a way. And I really like that we have all these rays coming off the Sun card, coming out of the center, which very much remind me of all the bolts of lightning coming out of the center of the Eight of Wands. And the Hermit, of course, is trying to find the unity, trying to find the source of where all those come from. So in all of these various interests or various experiments that you're running, what's the unifying force? What's the unifying theory of the universe here for you? Okay, I kind of feel like this is the reading that should come before the Aquarius reading. So watch this one first and then watch Aquarius. Because I feel like this is the first phase, and then the Aquarius reading, that's like phase 2, okay? You'll see what I mean when you get there. But anyway, we've got our majors. We've got fire, 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 a little bit of water, and some girth. No air, right? And maybe right now what we need is the air. But I don't even know. You know what? I take that back. No, screw it. We don't need the air. Because we have the Eight of Pentacles. And now, I know I'm kind of jumping around, but I can do that. It's my show. The Eight of Wands and the Eight of Pentacles. We're doing the experimentation, trying a lot of different things in life. Maybe in this particular industry you're in, maybe you're going to produce an album, so you're experimenting with a lot of different sounds and instruments and genres and all this kind of stuff. Or you're going to do a YouTube channel, so you're kind of just throwing everything at the wall right now. You're just playing with everything, seeing what's going to work. This is you kind of understanding and observing what is actually making a difference and what isn't. Right? When you're trying to grow a garden and you might not know anything about it, you're going to experiment. You're going to try, you're going to fail, you're going to experiment some more. We don't really need the swords cards because we have the simple observation. I can see what works and what doesn't. I don't need to think about it. I'm looking at it. So the swords cards would imply that the mind is somehow trying to interpret that data. And anytime the mind gets involved, it's all that bureaucracy, and it's like, okay, well then, enough of that. Like, that's over now. We don't want to think too much about this because then we're going to take this data and we're going to start interpreting it in a way that makes sense to us. In other words, we're going to be biased, right? But when we're looking at this fire to earth, it's basically saying, I do 8 things. Those are the 8 results. And that's very obvious. It's very obvious what it means. Okay, and so I think it really is your way of figuring out what is working. The Three of Pentacles is a card of work. It's, we're experimenting to see what works. We wish we could just start with the Three of Wands and say, I know what works, I know the right thing to do, and I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do nothing else. It's not always that easy, right? So sometimes it's like, I want to figure out what is the right thing to do. I may have to experiment with a lot of different things, right? To find out what works for me. What works in your life, okay? How is this divine energy being expressed through you? The Eight of Wands is a prism. It's a divine light shining through. It's a creative light, right? Shining through the diamond, the prism of your own soul and personality, right? Your body, your heart, your mind. The soul, yeah. With spirit right there in the center. Okay? And the path is going to be unique to us. Maybe the 3 here, the Three of Wands, might be this idea that there should be one particular way of doing it. It's kind of like, the path that can be walked is not the eternal path, right? The Tao that can be spoken of is not the eternal Tao. There is no right way of doing anything. This is kind of like an ethical thing where it's just like, yeah, there is an objective right or wrong in the universe. Well, not in your case, not right now, not in what you're doing. You've got to figure out what you need to do to make this work for you. Your path is absolutely unique, and that's why you've got the Hermit card. This is the one who's going off trail. This is the one who's carving their own path through the jungle. Okay? You've never done this before. No one's done this before. You can take what the Three of Wands is teaching you about the way things have been done in the past, about what things are likely to work, but you've got to test them for yourself. Whether we're talking a business, a spiritual path, or even in relationships or any kind of creativity. Maybe you're trying to start a business. Maybe you're trying to start a YouTube channel. The Three of Wands would say, someone that comes along and says, hey, I know how to make your YouTube channel successful. Pay me and I'll make it a hit for you, right? Well, it doesn't work that way. There is no template. There is no formula for this. And anybody that is trying to sell you one, they're just trying to sell you something, right? One day I may do a series of videos on my YouTube journey because it really was an eye-opening experience. I learned an awful lot about myself, about the world, about other people, and I feel like there is no plan. There is no formula, right? The virtue, the blessing, the miracle of life is that we all get to figure things out on our own. We can learn from others. Oh yeah, we can observe what other people have done and try to take that as our starting point. And I think that this is kind of that starting point for you. Well, you had a pretty good idea of what you wanted to do and how to do it. Now we've got to put that into the real test. We've got to put it in the pressure cooker and see what comes out the other end. Okay? And I feel like this is that energy. We're experimenting to see what works. Once we find out what works, we're going to put our head down. We're going to focus on those things. And, it's going to be glorious, right? You have the Four of Wands underneath the surface here. This is kind of a completion of something. In other words, don't experiment with so many things, but then never actually finish any of those things or like follow through with them, because then you're never going to know what the data is, or the data are, I guess. You're not going to be able to form any kind of a conclusion, right? So this is a card of completion. It's saying we're going to run an experiment. We have to see it through till the end in order to get the observable effects. We quit halfway through and say, oh, well, that didn't work. How do you know? You didn't actually do it, This is somebody that comes along and says, oh, I am so bad at doing YouTube. I just can't figure out how to make a successful channel. I don't know. I don't know what to do. Well, let me see your channel. Well, I don't have anything. I don't know what to, I'm not good at it. Well, but you didn't do anything, right? We have to actually finish something, even if it's bad, right? Even if it's terrible, even if it's the worst thing we've produced. Produce something. Complete something, right? You're never going to get better at writing if you don't write some really just shitty stuff. Pardon my language, but it's true, right? We sometimes we have this internal bias that kind of says like, I don't want to do anything unless it's going to be good. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to make a YouTube channel until it's like perfect, right? I don't want to write a book unless it's like it's going to be a masterpiece. Well, if you never write anything, you're never going to get to the point where you can make a masterpiece. You're not going to know anything about yourself. You're not going to know anything about the industry, about writing, about what is even a good book for you, or how to do it, or how to be the magician, how to let that light shine forth from you. This is the magician without the mask, right? This is that solar energy inside of us that is powering the magician. This is the magician energy, okay? And that's our fear, worry, and concern. This is kind of our hope, but also our fear. It's what we want, but what we're scared of not getting. And that is success, wealth, but also our own sort of unique perspective and fulfilling our own potential, let's say that, okay? The Seven of Wands up top here is, Well, it kind of goes right in line with what we're talking about with the Four of Wands. We have to battle. We have to do battle with what we think we are supposed to do. We have to battle against our own ideas of what success and what victory is. Okay, this is kind of like one against many. To me, this feels like an underdog. It kind of feels like you're coming into a situation where you're not the expert already. You're not already like a best-selling author, are you? I mean, we have to get there. We have to fight our way there, right? We have to write a lot of bad stuff before we write the masterpiece, before we write the bestseller. You've got to make a lot of really bad videos that nobody's going to watch until you start hitting your stride. And if you go and look back at this channel at the very beginning, there were some really bad videos, right? Production quality was bad, audio quality, the lighting was terrible. I didn't have the fashion sense I have now. Well, no, I kind of always did. But anyway, we have to pay our dues in a way. We have to go through the challenges. We have to defy the odds. And in some ways, we have to reinvent the wheel. We may have a vague idea of how to make a wheel, but we've got to figure it out. We've got to figure out what kind of wheel is going to propel our chariot forward. Okay, you can't put any old wheel on your bicycle or on your car. You can't put bicycle tires on your car. You can't put car tires on your bicycle. It's not going to work. So we have to wrestle with ourselves. We have to do the experimentation, and we have to be okay with being the underdog. And you are. That's why you've got the Seven of Wands up top here, because you recognize that you're under a lot of odds. The odds are against you here. But see, you're pushing back. This is a 7, but this is an 8. This is stronger. Okay? In a way, this is a pressure cooker, because this is the pressure coming from, kind of your expectations or the reality of the world, where it's not easy to make it. It's not easy to reach the level of success or even a spiritual awakening, right? Maybe this is a spiritual path for you. The forces of darkness of the world are trying to keep you asleep, but here you are stronger. You're trying to wake up. Okay, and if this is a spiritual path for you, it doesn't have to be a career or a YouTube channel. Maybe this is a spiritual awakening for you. In the spiritual path, when you first start out, you have to realize that there are a lot of forces that want to keep you asleep. And you have to experiment with different practices, different techniques, different rituals, and different prayers, different styles, different whatever, until you find what works for you. What works for everybody else, not going to be what works for you. And that's even part of our Four of Wands, because sometimes this is about the ritual. If this were a Four of Pentacles, it'd be a square. And that would be routine, right? Habit, just routine. This is routine, but it's ritualized routine. It's a routine in our life that has reverence and meaning to it. This is a routine that has an intention behind it and has a magic to it. It's not routine, right? It's ritual. And we turn life into a ritual. And our ritual is going to be much different, and that's why there's this the admonition to your own kind of messy, your messy and flawed rituals are going to be so much more effective for you than if you were to just kind of follow the recipe of some ritual that's already written for you. You know what I mean? It's kind of, you can follow the recipe of the gumbo, but it's not going to taste as good as the gumbo you create yourself. Even with all its flaws, even with all of its different sized potatoes or whatever, right? Do you put potatoes in a gumbo? I don't remember. I don't think you do. Whatever. You could follow everything technically perfect, but it's not going to have the flavor. It's not going to be your essence. Or you can do things your way, and while they may not be perfect at the beginning, they're more authentic. They're more you. And they are, it's so much more flavorful, So the ritual, anyway, of life. But the forward position, Is the hermit going their own way? Whether this is a business or a spiritual path, you're forging your own way. You're finding the light within you, and you're going in your own direction. Now, what if this is the path of trying to find the light within us? I want to experiment with a lot of different things so I can find who I really am. And so the hermit might be experimenting, going forward, kind of wandering through the forest at first, thinking, maybe I'll never find the light. Maybe I'll never find my true self. Okay? Until you do. So again, we don't have to wait till we're fully enlightened before we go searching for our true self. You know, that doesn't make any sense. So the hermit, of course, looking at the card, has their light and is using that, keeping their head down, doesn't care what the rest of the world thinks, following their path, doing what they do, right? How did the hermit come to discover that light? Through trial and error, through observation and experimentation, through theorizing and hypothesizing, experimenting, and continuing. Do that as many we have to refine it over and over again until we find our own voice. We find our own inner light. We find our own lamp, right? That will lead us forward with ease, right? Becoming the hermit is the kind of easy part. I should say, once we are the hermit, that's the easy part. But becoming the hermit is where we have to go through a lot of this underdog energy and a lot of this trial and error to discover what works for us. Okay? Because then, once you're the hermit, you know the way, and the work just becomes you keeping your head down and sticking to the way. Sticking to your way, right? Which is the right way for you. This is the card of virtue, again, knowing the right way. The way that works is the way that works for you. Now, Path of the Serpent. We got a 6 of Cups. This is a card of luxury, a card of pleasure, a card of community, but it's a card of tranquility. Okay. Now, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do. The readings are totally free. The 6 of Cups, to me, is a reference to the sun as well. The number 6 is always associated with the sun. Okay. So the discovery of that light within gives us a tranquility. No longer are we a 4 or a 7 or an 8, right? We're a 6. We're a harmonious, balanced, beautiful 6. Internally, there is a sun shining within you. So to me, it's how it feels to have attained this solar kind of consciousness, or this awakening, or whatever you want to call it. Okay. The 6 of Cups is somebody with gratitude, with love. You're radiating this light from you. You can't help it. The hermit can't help but to shine the light. Other people are going to follow you. That's okay. You're not following anybody but your true self. That sun within. Okay, that solar nature inside of you. You can't help but for that light to spill out from in between your robes. You know what I'm saying? And so that's kind of what we've got here. It's just this... You're just exuding love and compassion and energy and creativity. And this is somebody who really is in love with the path that they're on. Somebody who, and in the Aquarius reading, you know what we had in the position of your general energy was an Ace of Cups. Okay? So this is kind of right on the same path here, okay? This is a sense of really feeling as if you belong on this path, and it's an inner tranquility, despite the outer turmoil, the outer sort of struggles and challenges and all the experimentation, all the work and all the traveling. Right? There's peace in your heart, and I think that's absolutely extraordinary. In your relationships, we see a lot of growth, a lot of patience in your relationships. I feel like once we find something that works, once we figure out how we're supposed to do it, we have to do it with reverence and ritual, with peace in our heart, and we have to do it with patience. We're not trying to rush anything here, right? Once you figure out how to do it, then it's just a matter of doing it that right way, slowly, not because we're chasing after some distant goal, but with peace, with peacefulness, that it's in the act itself. Not in, I don't want to hurry up and water the plants so I can have my tomatoes. No, it's in that act of love and reverence for the ritual we're in, where we're going to very, very calmly and with that sense of like holiness, we're going to water the plants, you know? And it's not like, well, I got to hurry up and water them so I can eat. Yeah. Of course, we're going to enjoy the fruits of our labor too, right? So we will eat. This is also, like I said, that card with the Eight of Wands. It's the card of like seeing the results, and that's the confirmation. The proof of the pudding is in the tasting, right? So the whether something works or not, if you observe it, you can see whether it's working or not, and then you know how you might need to shape and shift and mold yourself a little bit differently in order to kind of tweak the experiment and try again until we discover what works, and then we put our head down and we do it with reverence and holiness, okay? Because you've discovered this radiant sun. And I think this is kind of the fear, like we were hoping to be happy and wealthy and healthy and vibrant and shining our light. We want to find our voice. We want to tap into our true self. And we're kind of course, you know, especially when we're up here, we're worried that we may not ever get this. Okay? We're worried about that. But you are discovering that light within you. Okay? And then the Ten of Wands, of course, is kind of pedal to the metal in a way. This is a lot of effort. This is an extraordinary amount of commitment, right? This is like you're in this. You've committed yourself to it fully. The responsibility is yours. The weight is on your shoulders. I feel like this is you entering the pressure cooker that you will find in the Aquarius reading. So this is part 1. Watch the Aquarius reading as part 2. Because this is you then entering the pressure cooker. Choosing to put all of this weight on your shoulders and do this thing, whatever it is for you. It's a spiritual practice, whether it's a business, whether it's your creative work or writing the book or whatever it is. This is you kind of working on becoming that masterpiece or writing the masterpiece or whatever, right? This is you volunteering to put all the weight on your shoulders. Yeah. Let's look at the mystery card over here. Probably the Star, right? Which will be a reference to the Aquarius reading anyway. Let's see what we've got. Oh, it's a Queen of Swords. Yeah. Okay. Queen of Swords. Bird's eye view. Getting the bird's eye view. Again, to me, it kind of is saying we got to take a bigger picture here. Look at the Aquarius reading in connection with this reading, right? Get a broader angle on a wider angle on your life right now by watching both readings. This is also that card of objectivity. This is that one, it's swords, right? We didn't have any swords. We got a little bit of swords. And this is the sword that is trying to be objective, look at the results of what we're doing, and be very honest about what we see. Run the experiment. Did it work? No. Not did you want it to work, but did it? You know, objectively speaking, hey, I tried something, failed. Okay, I've learned something. And that's wisdom. This is us looking at the experiment, looking at the results of the experiment, and gaining in wisdom and understanding. Becoming smarter so that when we can run the experiment again, we'll know what we have to change, and we're going to get closer to refining our own technique, our own methods, our own protocols. Okay? We can't expect perfection right out of the gate. We've got to work for it. Yeah. This is a really good confirmation. I like this one. We're going to do an extended reading too. We're going to do an I Ching hexagram. We're going to do some oracle cards. There's a link in the corner. There should be a link in the video description. New readings for Pisces Thursday and Sunday. Be sure to watch both readings. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do. These readings are totally free. You can also find all these readings on the website, doveandserpenttarot.com. Also, find me on Patreon. Leave a comment. Let me know where in the world you're watching from. I want you to know that you're the most important part of Dove and Serpent Tarot. I thank you and I love you. And we're all in this together.